got a website?
All that video footage is right there, and I guarantee you if you watch that full thing and ask yourself, how can I support this, you won't be able to. How's your day going today? Pretty cold though, eh? This is speciesism. Have you ever heard of that term before? So you've heard of racism, sexism, all the other isms. Discrimination against somebody for something, right? An arbitrary reason. This is saying species like pigs, sheep, cows, all the animals that people eat for no reason at all. It's you're discriminating against them, right?
Okay.
Do you think that it's like all the stuff on the screen? Do you think it can be justified? Do you think it can be justified doing that to animals?
I can actually. I agree that they need to be cared for properly. I don't agree with factory meats and that, but I'm afraid I'm too deeply entrenched.
You think so?
Culture, yeah, I am.
Do you think people can change when they finally realize when something?
Yeah, I do, but not at my age.
Not your age?
Not with not with my meat-eating background.
I actually met a vegan who was, I think, 70 years old, and she watched these videos, and she said, I can't do this anymore. And she changed at her age, at 70 something.
If I actually watched that, I couldn't do it myself.
Right.
But I'm willing to sort of, I'm willing to support sort of kind practices to animals. But I do believe that a lot of the reason these animals are still around is because we haven't needed them.
Yeah.
The other. I think where people don't need the animals, that's where they've disappeared. It's only because we've decided either they're good to eat or we like them as pets.
Yeah. So
thank you for explaining that. And
can you give me 2 minutes of your time just to kind of explain the whole arguments, or?
I'm actually just on my way somewhere. So
can I give you a card?
Sure, you can.
Yeah.
And if you have a website, I'll look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing you mentioned kind. The kind practices. What is kind to you?
Well, kind is that they live a normal life until they're ready. Kind is not being packed and force-fed in a factory or given, eating animals eating meat products themselves and things like that.
But they still end up at a slaughterhouse. Is that kind?
Yes, but there are humane ways of doing that, including that.
What is humane?
Named Temple Grandin, where she decided that it was better for animals if they were treated well right up until the time they're put down. And even when they're put down, it's done in a manner that they're not alarmed by. I mean, we all have to die, right?
Yeah, but
and animals, if they weren't being fed, they would probably die off of hunger or something. So I do agree to some extent. I don't agree with just randomly. I don't agree with game hunting. I don't agree with animals being treated badly. I don't know, feedlots and things like that seem to be true.
Yeah.
But I'm quite willing to go along with sort of they're raised in kind of a normal environment, because I do believe that that's kind of they're not going to have a nice, relaxed retirement. But if I could get
I would just leave you with saying that, like, even those free-range farms where they believe in humane slaughter, the word humane means to show kindness, compassion, benevolence. Yeah. And when you're arbitrarily sending an animal to their death at 2 years old or 5 years old,
it's not really arbitrary. They've been raised for that. And like those 4-H kids, they raise those animals. They're proud of them. But
is it justified though?
Well, sure. Is life justified? Sorry, but we're getting into a whole other.
Well, yeah, that's the purpose of us being out here, is to have these exact conversations, and I appreciate you being able to entertain my thoughts. But and I know you want to get going, but I just want to leave you with saying that, like, animals, we're saying by speciesism. Yeah. Slave owners owned black people 200 years ago. That was racism, right? Exactly. You're putting a sentient living being into a condition that they would not want to be in. Animals don't want to be bred into existence just to be killed, right?
I don't believe that animals have that much sentience. I believe that they have an awareness, but I don't believe they have an awareness that we're going to die.
Why do we have animal cruelty laws against dogs? Why do we have animal cruelty laws against dogs and cats?
Because I believe that's unkind to be cruel. Animals feel pain.
Right, animals do feel pain.
Sitting there thinking, gee, I'm being raised for a slaughterhouse. They don't know. I'm hoping that they're happy on the grounds eating as I would be. I don't want to know I'm going to go off to a slaughterhouse or die in a hospital. I want to go on happily living my life.
And so the same with the animals too, right?
Yeah, but they're not aware of that. So I think we're on.
It's been proven that animals are sentient.
I don't know if it's been proven.
Yes, it has.
They are sentient. They have feelings. I believe that they have some sense, but I don't believe that they actually have an awareness.
If you watch this for 5 minutes, you'll learn exactly how hard they fight to get out of the slaughterhouse, right?
No,
they don't want to be there.
I know they do, and that's often because they're bunched in there all together. There's panic. It's natural animal fight or flight, right?
Great. Same with you and me.
They're not thinking, gee, I'm going to be meat on somebody's plate.
Well, do you have to, like children, they have less sentience, right? They don't have intelligence to say, I'm going to be abused, like if they're in a situation for child abuse, right? So do you have to have a knowledge of being abused in order to therefore be against it or be protected from it?
No, because other people are aware of it. So,
right.
But animals themselves, I don't believe, are aware of it. At the last minute, there's the panic and fear. Sorry, just much I like it.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm glad you talked to me and that you're not sort of.
Yeah, I like to get to know people's perspectives because
one note person, but I've sort of have been thinking about this for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think, as I say, I do believe, as I say, farming practices that keep the animals healthy and safe, and where they're not in fear until the last. I know even on the farm, my friend has horses. At the end, the horse is taken. The animal is not afraid or anything because it doesn't know, but they shoot him, and that's humane because that horse would be left to roam around. There's wolves, there's coyotes in the area. It would be prey for other animals.
So you're saying that, okay, there's two options for that horse. Either it gets killed by the human and eaten, or it's going to die by wolves. What about the third option? What about us protecting those animals and giving them that ability to thrive, right?
But we can't do that at the moment.
Why can't we?
We can't because we don't have the space, we don't have, and animals after a certain age, in the wild, animals, like your cat, for instance, people pay money to have their animals, sorry, I gotta get away, but people pay money to have their animals, operations. An animal in the wild, once it stops eating, it dies. That's the way nature is. It's cruel, but it's a part of life.
And the final thing I'll say, and the fourth option would be not to breed them into existence to begin with, right?
Another option.
So we could all just eat plant-based diets and reduce the amount of animals being brought into existence.
I don't know about that, sorry.
Okay, watch that video. You'll learn all you need to know. Thank you for your time, though.
I will look at this if there's not a website on.
All that video footage is right there, and I guarantee you, if you watch that full thing and ask yourself, how can I support this, you won't be able to.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing this.
My name's Adam, by the way. What was your name?
I'm Christine.
Christina, thank you for the interesting conversation.
I appreciate you doing it. You make good arguments, but as I say, mine is sort of based.
I'll say it's never too late to choose the right side of history, right?
I understand that. But
yeah, there's tons of plant-based options. You just pass Remedy, they've got vegan options there, and then you can eat that instead of the abused animal.
Well, I don't know if I hope the animals I eat are not abused. I guess
I would suggest any factory farmed animal is abused.
I would too.
And then
I'm not arguing with you that. I'm arguing that farm-raised animals, that's their purpose. They were bred for that.
And that's why we call speciesism, saying that we're going to determine your purpose in life. Just like racism, right?
Well, I don't know if we're doing that.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.